Do you have a dream of love that you really, really want? And you believe in it so much you can see it and taste it and touch it and smell it and hear it and feel it? Well, you better. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but if you're looking for love and on a quest to have it in your life, it really is true. Most of us have to kiss a lot of frogs before we get to our prince. And what I'm always amazed by is how the most incredible people turn to me who are so accomplished and they've done so many big things in their lives. They have children, they have upper graduate degrees, they have businesses, they've moved across the world or across the country. They've built these incredible lives. But when it comes to dating and relating and being on what I call a quest for love, they give up so easily. And they tell me stories that I just can't believe they would give up so easily, right? But every time a woman tells me a story where she had one date where a guy didn't pay, or she had one guy she saw a few times who ghosted, which, no kidding, is not fun, right? Or she had one guy online who turned out to be a catfisher, or older than his pictures, or fatter than his pictures, right? All that stuff we all go through, right? Well, thankfully I don't, because I've been married since the earth cooled and there was no internet dating when I got married. But all that stuff that everybody internet dating goes through. And they are just so freaked out by it, so hurt by it, so upset by it, that they quit. They take down their profile. They decide dating is too hard. It's too much of a waste of time. And they give up. And then they call somebody like me after years, sometimes even a decade, and they want to know, do I see something in the stars that's to blame? And of course, you can always see something in the stars that's to blame. But what I really want to talk to them about is that they don't have a big enough dream. Because when you have a big enough dream, when you really want the thing that you're going for, you're not going to let some jerk steal that, right? You're not going to let some guy who lied or some guy who stood you up or blew you off or disappeared or didn't do what he said or who had ambivalence or who changed his mind or who's really got a girlfriend or a wife or any number of bummers that women encounter, right, in dating and looking for love. They wouldn't let that guy stop them, right? They would just be like, one bozo closer to the one, right? But instead, they just use that to really actually confirm their lack of belief, right? Or their conviction, their incredible belief that love is not going to come for them and that it's all going to be a waste of time and it's not going to be worth it, right? So what it really boils down to is not having a dream that's bigger than the drama, right? Because when you have a dream that's bigger than the drama, think about all those huge, amazing things that you have done in your life. Whether you've had a kid, gotten an amazing education, or even a mediocre education, right? Built a business, worked a really hard job, moved, left people you loved. You've done really hard stuff. And you did it because there was something that you wanted that propelled you forward, right? There's two reasons we do something. We're either running from the stick or running towards the carrot, right? And I'm much more of a fan of running towards the carrot than I am of running from the stick. So running towards the carrot is when you're running towards what you want, when you're running towards your dream. And if you really believed, you know that saying, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Well, I'm going to challenge you to a new saying, which is, what would you do if you knew you would get your dream, right? You wouldn't let that guy that blew you off cool your jets, right? You wouldn't let some guy who's pretending to be somebody he's not, some catfisher, which, no joke, they suck. I'm not going to lie. They are awful, and I can do a whole video on how to avoid them. But you wouldn't let some liar in another country using fake pictures, pretending he's a physicist at a conference in South Africa. You wouldn't let that guy ruin the rest of your life, right? You wouldn't let somebody who's cheating on his wife stop you. You would just go, woo, thank God I found out. I'm one bozo closer to my dream. So it really comes down to getting a dream that you're really excited about and that you're so passionately committed to because you believe it's coming and you believe you can have it, that those guys are just all part of the fun. You know, women call me and they're like, Carol, internet dating's been horrible. And I'm like, oh, what? And I'm waiting for some axe murderer story, right? Like I'm waiting for some, you know, really intense story that involves like the FBI and, you know, tissue samples. And they say, men 10 years older than me wrote to me. And I'm like, that's it? That's all you got? Have you talked to other women internet dating? Like, that happens to everyone, right? Or they'll say, it's so much work. I've met so many men. And I'm thinking, ooh, that's fun. How many men have you met? And they're like, oh my gosh. I mean, it must have been 5 in 3 months. And I'm like, oh, honey, we got to help you. Okay, so, because so many men in 3 months, I mean, that's like 500, right? That's like, come on, let's get those numbers up. So listen, I don't mean to make fun of anyone. I am not minimizing the fact that this stuff is not for the faint of heart. And there are parts of dating and meeting strangers and certainly internet dating that are really hard and really frustrating. And my new favorite analogy is like, imagine you want to go to Paris, right? We all want to go to Paris. I want another house in Paris. I want to live part-time here and in Paris. But that's another story. But okay, so your dream might be to go to Paris, right? And everybody wants to go to Paris. Everybody wants to be strolling along the Seine, right? Going to that ice cream store where the very first ice cream cone ever was handed out hundreds of years ago. They all want to go to Shakespeare & Co., that gorgeous bookstore across from Notre Dame. I highly recommend it. They all want to go check on Notre Dame. My God, how is Notre Dame? You know, you want to go to the Louvre and see all the incredible masterpieces and all the Monet's water lilies at l'Orangerie. You want to have hot chocolate at Angelica's. But what you don't want is the hours in line at the airport. And oh gee, the teeny weeny seat you're in next to 2 other people for 12 hours. And once you're in Paris, you don't have to deal with the cab drivers who don't speak English. It's kind of shocking how many people don't speak English. We have this idea as English-speaking people that everyone speaks English. But no, actually they don't, right? Newsflash. So, you know, you don't want to be around people who smoke. You don't want to be with a lot of other tourists. You don't want to be there when it's hot, and it gets hot in the summer. And you don't want to be there when it's cold, and oh gee, it gets really cold in the winter. So you just want to be on the Eiffel Tower, taking gorgeous photos on a perfect day. Oh, and you don't want the jet lag, and you don't want the crowds, and you don't want, to have to fight for a table at Cafe de Magos. And it's worth fighting for a table, by the way. But you see what I'm saying? Like, you just want the part you want, and you don't want any of the hassle. But nobody is immune from the hassle. Going to Paris involves a lot of hassle. Being in Paris involves a lot of hassle. Is it worth it? Oui. Okay. So dating and being on a quest for love, what would you do if you knew you could have your dream? What would you do different, right? That is what I want you to do. I'm going to leave you with this. The great Brenee Brown. How great is Brenee Brown? The researcher, academic out of Texas, has interviewed thousands of people about shame and vulnerability and about their most personal fears, hopes, and dreams. And she's done this for over a decade. Over 10,000 people she's talked to. And she says there is only one thing that separates people who end up loved from people who don't. And it's that the people who end up loved believe that they will. And the people who don't. What? Okay, so that's another way of saying people who end up loved have a dream that is pulling them forward and is keeping their heart open and is helping them to keep suiting up and showing up for it, right? And is making them fun to be around and optimistic and hopeful and willing to take their lumps along the way, right? That's how the people who believe they will be loved behave. The people who don't believe it, well, every bad date is just a confirmation that they won't be loved, right? And every disappointment is just further validation that their dream is unachievable. So remember that beautiful quote by Brenee Brown. When she said it, I almost fell off my chair because in 30 years now, 30 years of working with people and talking to women about love and relationships and their quest to find them, keep them, sustain them, increase and improve them, I see that too. The people who believe they will be loved, the people who have a dream that is bigger than any drama life can throw their way, end up with their happily ever after far more than the people who don't. So choose your camp, choose wisely, and don't let the bozos get you down. If you can use more support like this, please subscribe to my channel here. I also have a really fun, if I do say so myself, newsletter at loveisinthestars.com, where I have all kinds of reports and relationship tips and tools, and I would love to support you in your journey to find, keep, sustain, and improve the love in your life. So thanks for joining me today. See you next time.